Hello and welcome to the TMC Newsroom. My name is Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching us today. We're in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's day 3 of Interrupt 2011, and on our program is Jonathan Cogley. He's the CEO of Thycotic. Jonathan, how are you?
I'm doing very well.
So tell me about your company.
Sure. So Thycotic Software, we make 2 different software products, and basically we're focused on password management. The first product, Secret Server, is really geared more towards the administrators, and it's designed to help them manage all those shared passwords. So these are passwords that don't really map to an individual, but they're more geared towards managing servers and network equipment and the various different things within the infrastructure.
Multi-level admin servers in some cases, right?
Correct, correct. So it can be passwords that usually they're managing them using a spreadsheet, or oftentimes they're using the same password across multiple devices. And I don't know if you've tracked any of the recent security compromises. I think there's some big ones in the news recently. But a lot of times when there is a compromise of someone's network, it's the privileged accounts that they're after. They're going after these special passwords to then be able to compromise different systems across the network.
I recommend all usernames and passwords should just be admin for ease of use.
So default manufacturer's setting, huh?
Yeah, that was a joke. Please do not use that combination. So you have another line of your business also, right? You do some other things with passwords.
We do. We have another product which is Password Reset Server, and it's geared more towards the end user. So when they forget their Active Directory password and they can't get into their workstation in the morning, what they can do is, instead of calling the help desk, they can actually click an icon on the Windows login screen and then go through a series of challenge questions to prove their identity. And we're doing some interesting things there too. We're doing some 2-factor options. So you can actually get a PIN code through SMS, email, or even a phone call to help prove your identity and then be able to unlock your account and reset your password.
Something that banking software is currently doing all the time right now, especially with some of the new iPhone and iPad apps, but the enterprise generally doesn't have a solution which is so widely used in e-commerce. Right, and so you're bringing that solution to the enterprise. And it's a major problem. I mean, let's go through this. We've got users who are using passwords which are simple to hack into quite often. And the first problem we have is we've got passwords that are too easy to hack into because you can use brute force attacks if they're just like a word in the dictionary. The second problem is, quite often they're using little sticky notes to put the password somewhere so that someone in the area, the cleaning crew, can find out about it. But number 3, if they do have a more complicated password, sometimes the settings of the company are not, let's just say, imposed in a way that passwords are changed often enough, whether it's once a month or how often do you recommend the passwords are changed?
It really depends on the industry. So typically what we see in the military space is a 90-day recommendation, and then more typically in the commercial sector, usually 30 days.
Let's go through. I'm sorry, so the military is 90 days and the commercial sector is 30 days.
Correct. That's usually what we see.
Okay.
There's actually been some interesting papers out in kind of the last year. There was a study done by Microsoft, and they were looking at how frequently you should change your password. And they, if I remember correctly, the results of the survey basically said it was more important to have a stronger password that was changed less frequently than a weaker password changed more frequently.
But I think, and that's what I really like about your solution, the password reset technology allows you to have users change their password quite frequently, and if they forget it, have them able to get on without draining the resources of IT, especially now with so many devices on networks and so many different logins that people have. I mean, even if you've got Active Directory, sometimes there are other passwords within an organization. I know that within my company, we've got a CRM password, and we've also got Active Directory, and they don't necessarily sync up, and we've got a couple others that don't sync up, and so it becomes a headache for our IT team to run around and reset passwords all day long. And so if it's an automated system like you provide, you now are making a company more secure by allowing them effectively to have a policy change, which really encourages passwords to be changed more often, and then also not have to worry about the manpower of constantly being there 24/7, right? What happens if the CEO forgets his password and it's 11 o'clock let's say it's 11 o'clock at night in the US and he's overseas about to give a presentation? Oh my God, even if you have 5 IT people, they may not be able to field that call, right? So there's so many uses. Yeah, technology.
So automating password reset really does solve those problems. And also, if you look at it from a cost perspective, if you can eliminate your password reset calls to your help desk just by a small percentage and turn that into the dollar value, it's really quite significant. So automating the process definitely makes a lot of sense. One thing I would like to mention though, just a good way to think about passwords, is we like to think of passwords as passwords you need to remember and passwords that you don't. So the typical ones that you need to remember are the ones that guarantee your identity. So your Active Directory password, things like that. But think about a system administrator and think about all the different passwords that they have to manage the infrastructure. So everything from Cisco routers to switches to different servers on the Unix platform, Windows, right across the spectrum. They just have literally hundreds, oftentimes even thousands of passwords. Those are passwords that they don't need to remember. Some of the folks that we've met at trade shows often are using either one or two passwords and then remembering them across the whole spectrum. It's just a crazy way to go. It's so much easier to use a password vault that then has randomized passwords for all those different accounts and then just remember the main identifying password to get into the vault, which can be either through a two-factor device like a token, or it can be, say, your Active Directory credentials.
That's very logical. Really very logical. Is there a challenge of that computer getting hacked and that information getting sucked off that file? Like if you open up a Word file and it's got, let's say, 50 passwords in it and it happened to be encrypted, there's still that challenge as well, right? That companies have to deal with?
Sure, and I think that's the trade-off with centralizing things. So when you centralize your passwords into a vault, everything is in one place, so you can apply auditing and different policies on those passwords, but you also have to make sure that the vault is really secure, because it is a very attractive target for people to attack.
Absolutely, and as the target or the value of the target increases, the amount of effort to try to attack it increases in lockstep. So next question is what's next for your company? What can we expect in the future?
So right now we have the two different products that are both geared around password management. As always, we're listening to customer requests, so we've had a lot of feedback at this particular show. And we're going to be looking at how to enhance the different reset options, supporting further platforms, and just basically listening to the customer. We've had great advice from customers, just feedback about the problems that they're having in their infrastructure over the last few years, and that's really helped us to build our products and make sure that they're meeting customers' needs.
Do customers come to you because they want an ROI typically? In other words, is that part of the reason that they are purchasing? They say, okay, I want an ROI within 18 months. Is that how they do it?
We see a couple of different use cases. So there's the security perspective. So when we're talking to folks on the security side, they're usually looking to lock things down. Often there's a compliance mandate driving things. So we've seen an enormous pickup in PCI compliance over the last 2 years.
Sure.
So that's a big one. On the password reset side, I'm always a little bit surprised. I would think that people would focus more on the security, but typically they don't. Typically they're just looking to reduce cost to the help desk.
So that gets us to one of the final questions here, and that is that how do I know if I'm viewing this whether or not I'm a candidate where I'll be able to see that cost reduction or return on investment in some time frame? How big do I need to be? Users?
Sure.
Is it number of systems, number of users?
Well, we see it from the low side where someone has maybe 100 or 500 end users and they're seeing some toll on their help desk. Typically, like you mentioned before, the 24/7 aspect. So even if you had 500 or even 1,000 end users, manning a help desk 24/7 just to provide password resets, if you can automate that, the cost savings are significant, just the convenience alone. And then on the IT infrastructure side, even small admin teams with 2 or 3 administrators up to admin teams of hundreds of folks, if you look at how many passwords they're managing or poor practices that they have with those passwords, it just makes so much more sense to put an automated solution in place.
Well, thanks for being on the program today.
Thank you.